Welcome to the Disability Networking Zone. I am Verusia Chetty from the University of KwaZulu-Natal in South Africa. South Africa has a population of 7.7 million people who are living with HIV. With the advent of antiretroviral therapy, people with HIV are living longer but are experiencing episodic disability due to the virus, its comorbidities, and treatment. Our session today, entitled Unconventional Convening on Disabling Issues of HIV, will look at the issues contributing to disability, including stigma. We will make our session today fun and entertaining with songs, engagement with children with disabilities, as well as a scientific panel on rehabilitation, improving quality of life from the first to the last breath, as well as an interactive exercise session. First, we will start with a student in physiotherapy at the University of KwaZulu-Natal who will be singing an isiZULU song to get our session going. That will be followed by a reading by children with disability on issues of stigma that address children. We will then share a Zoom virtual panel discussion on rehabilitation research in South Africa. We conclude with our exercise session with two leading biokineticists. Enjoy your time with us at the virtual Disability Networking Zone.
Hello everybody, my name is Nirasha Daniram and we are from Imbalito Hope College, KwaZulu-Natal. It gives me great pleasure to introduce you to our readers today, Adriana Lawrence and Anna Stock. Adriana?
Hello everyone, my name is Adriana. I'm 9 years old. Today we're reading the story
Called
Tembi's Big News
by
Verusia Chetty.
Okay, Anna, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, I would. Hello, I am Anna. I am 9 years old, and today I am reading the story. Tembi Hope is the youngest of 3 children and the only girl. She was named after both her grandmothers. Tembi is a beautiful, bold girl who loves drama. She has an interest in play acting and is the head of the debating team at her school. She has 2 brothers named Daniel and Joshua. Daniel is the family clown and Joshua is the sporty one who is always outside with some ball of some sort. on her, like hiding her shoes and making her late for school, or stopping the salt and the sugar when she's about to eat breakfast. Tembi tried to get him back with a trick of her own, sometimes, but he always knew what prank she was up to. A week ago, she planned to throw ice on him while he was asleep. She had the icy blue cubes ready and got Joshua to play along too. As she approached her sleeping brother, he opened his eyes and smiled. "I've been waiting for you to bring me some ice. It's so hot today." Smile, Daniel, taking an ice cube and slurping up the melted water. Tembi's mom is a nurse at the local clinic, and her dad is a manager at the hardware store in the shopping center nearby. Both Tembi's parents worked very hard, but they always made time to spend with Tembi and her brothers. On Sundays, they often had special picnics at the park or went for a swim to the beach, which wasn't very far away. They often watched Joshua play his soccer matches at the weekends too. Tembi loved screaming out, "Go, Joshy!" And he would hang out his very sweaty head shyly. Her mom knew that Tembi did it to embarrass her big brother. Tembi loved spending time with her family, and she especially loved their dinner time. They always chatted about the events of the day. Tembi was usually the center of attention, as she explained with action how she had stood up for some little kids who were being bullied by older ones, or how she had to take the naughty kids to the principal's office. There was always something for Tembi to dramatize. Joshua listened with eyes wide open, while Daniel grinned, and he mocked her by imitating her expressions as she looked away from him. One Friday afternoon, after school, Tembi and her brothers were watching television when they heard a car pull up. It was their parents. The children were not expecting them so early. They ran outside in surprise to greet their parents, but they were met with two long faces. "What has happened, Mom?" Tembi asked worriedly. Mom just looked very sad and walked into their house. Dad followed Mom, and they took a seat at the kitchen table. The children joined their parents and sat around the table. They'd all realized that there was something wrong. Mom, Dad, is everything okay?" Daniel whispered. Mom gazed into Daniel's eyes. Dad began to speak. Mom has had an injury at work." "Injury? What injury?" questioned the tearful Tembi. "Well," said Mom, "I've been pricked by a needle at the clinic. The needle was one that has been used on a person with a virus called HIV. I have that virus now, children." Mom was now in tears. Dad was gently rubbing her shoulders. Joshua, who was the quietest of the three children, said softly, "Mom, we know what HIV is, and it can be treated with medication. We learned all about it in school. It's called antiretroviral medication," said Daniel, no longer the joker, trying to hide his pain. Yes, Mom. We learned at school that HIV affects the body's ability to fight against the infection, but the medication helps you strengthen your body," said Tembi confidently. Mom, we will all be here to help you through this. We know that you'll be okay, and so will our family," said Daniel. "Nothing will change, Mom." Dad was quietly holding on to Mom. He looked relieved to hear the children, and his eyes shone with pride as he heard his children speaking so confidently about the virus and its treatment. Tembi and her brothers chatted with their mom for a while. They spoke about a family who had the virus and some of them got very ill because they stopped taking their medication. They also chatted about their feelings and how important it was to support their family and friends when they were all ill or sad. Tembi and her brothers were tired after their long chat. Tembi yawned hugely and wished her family a good night. she was off to bed. As Tammy lay in bed, the strangest thoughts rushed through her mind about her mom's infection. What would my friends think? Would they be uncomfortable around my mom if they knew? What would the people say at church? Will people think that we're a bad family? Will people stop visiting them? Tammy had just told her mom that there was a treatable virus and that she would be there to support her. And now she was having all these thoughts. She told herself to stop. I am not going to be worried about how other people feel. I'm going to be there for my mom, my dearest mom. I'm going to also let my friends and family know that the virus is not something to feel bad about. It's like any other virus. It needs treatment and it is going to be okay. Anyway, if people treated her mom any differently because of the virus, then they were not worth worrying about at all, she thought. Tammy did finally get to sleep, and she dreamed that she was teaching a group of people about love, faith, and hope. And Tammy smiled in her sleep, although she didn't know it. Tammy had come to realize that HIV is a virus that is like any other. She believed that once a person sees that, then it will be easier to support the ones we love who are infected.
Thank you, Anna. That was such a delightful read. Come, Adriana. Are you guys ready to say goodbye? And we're going to end off saying, for all the children of the world, show them some love. Thank you, guys. Bye.
Welcome to the Disability Networking Zone. I am Verusia Chetty from the University of KwaZulu-Natal, and that's in the province of KwaZulu-Natal on the east coast of South Africa. South Africa has a population of approximately 58 million people, and there's 7.7 million people who are living with HIV. We've made remarkable strides in the medical management of HIV, but we still face many challenges with regard to the disabling effects of the virus. I promise you in today's session that we'll have fun, which we've already started with, singing and reading with children. And now we're going to be engaging with a scientific panel, and we're going to discuss issues around rehabilitation. This session of, or the panel discussion is entitled Rehabilitation, Improving Quality of Life from the First Breath to the Last Breath. I have a panel of South African scientists with me today, and I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves before we get into the discussion. Dr. Cobbing or Professor Cobbing?
Hey guys, yeah, my name is Saul Cobbing. I'm a lecturer in physiotherapy at the University of KwaZulu-Natal. And yeah, done a lot of research around HIV and disability, and look forward to chatting to you just now.
Dr. Maddocks?
Hello everybody, my name is Stacy Maddocks. I'm also a lecturer in the Physiotherapy department at the University of KwaZulu-Natal, and I've just completed a PhD for children living with HIV experiencing disabilities.
Professor Hanass-Hancock?
Hello, my name is Hanass-Hancock, and I work at the South African Medical Research Council, and I'm also an associate professor of the University of KwaZulu-Natal. And I have worked for the last 10 to 15 years on the intersection of disability and HIV. Thanks.
Levin Chetty?
Hi guys, my name is Levin Chetty. I'm a staff member and current PhD student in the School of Health Sciences, also at the University of KwaZulu-Natal. My research area of expertise revolves around development of exercise guidelines for aging populations living with HIV.
Thank you very much for the introductions. I think without further discussions and introductions, we can move on to our scientific panel question and answers. The first question is posed to Dr. Saul, or Professor Saul Cobbing, sorry. and he's going to interpret the rehabilitation framework for us. Professor Cobbing.
Okay, yeah, so I'm just going to kind of set the scene a little bit for my friends and colleagues. As Verusia mentioned, you know, South Africa is the largest population of people living with HIV, around about 8 million people, about half of whom are on treatment. Depending on the district in South Africa, the prevalence can be as high as sort of 1 in 3 people being HIV positive. And we live in the province, KwaZulu-Natal, with the highest population prevalence in the whole country. So very much, you know, where we're doing our research, you could consider the epicenter of the HIV pandemic in the world. The reason or the area where we started doing our research was an area where our students were seeing patients. It's a semi-rural area outside Durban, which is a city where we all live. And the population where we've done a lot of our research over the last 10 years is a population of about 750,000 people, and as many as 1 in 3 people are HIV positive. So that's about 250,000 people. Some research that Jill has done, she might talk about it later, found that, you know, up to about a half of people living with HIV experience some kind of functional limitation, be it mobility, you know, visual impairment, cognitive problem. Unfortunately, there's only one hospital in this whole area that, a public hospital that people in the area could go to. And just to give you kind of an idea of the resource limitations we have in this area, at that hospital, there are only 2 physiotherapists. There are no occupational therapists, no audiologists, no speech therapists, no psychologists. So, you know, you have this huge burden of disability with very few people who can actually help people. So my research really started my master's work looking at, you know, people who their ability to access physiotherapy rehabilitation specifically. And we found that very few people living with HIV and disability were even able to get to the hospital. And those that did faced all kinds of barriers, including, you know, physical limitations, cost limitations, and various other barriers. And, you know, together with my colleagues who you're going to hear speak, you know, we realized we need a different kind of approach to the way we provide rehabilitation to people living with HIV in this very resource poor area. And yeah, there's a number of things that the various panelists here will discuss. But my own work looked at an alternative version of rehabilitation rather than people having to come to the hospital, which created great barriers, training community healthcare workers, so lay people who lived in the community to provide basic rehabilitation to people living with HIV and disability in the district. And that's shown some promise, but it's something we need to do more work on across the lifespan. So we're talking about from children born with HIV all the way to elderly people living what we hope is a full life. And that's what everyone else is going to talk about today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Cobbing, for setting the scene for us in terms of what's going on with research in HIV and rehabilitation. And I think that leads perfectly to Stacy Maddocks' study, where she just developed a model of care for the rehabilitation of children living with HIV. And maybe she can share that with us at this point.
Okay, hi again, everybody. I'm going to share a few slides with you just to describe the study. Okay, so the aim of this study was to develop a model of care to address the rehabilitation needs of children living with HIV experiencing disability in a resource-poor setting in KwaZulu-Natal. South Africa. The study used an integrated learning and action approach through a number of coherent sub-studies in order to develop a feasible model of care for children living with HIV. These sub-studies investigated the prevalence of disabilities in children living with HIV who accessed care at the health study setting, and it further explored the perceptions of caregivers, multi-professional teams, and affiliated non-governmental organizations. Can you see that? Okay. The study found that many children living with HIV experience functional difficulties across physical and cognitive domains, and their main issue was a problem with access to rehabilitation. This access was challenged by many factors, including poor knowledge of HIV-related disability, financial impediments, and stigma. So finally, in the final phase of the study, an expert panel of people working in HIV and rehabilitation were consulted, and consensus was achieved at what elements need to be included in the developed model of care. The proposed model of care emphasizes the importance of early disability screening, task shifting to community care workers and to community settings, like Prof. Cobbing has alluded to, in order to ensure the continuity of care of the children, and also to screen for disability in all children living with HIV, and further to that, to screen for caregiver burden for the carers of these children. As you can see, the model places children in the center and recognizes the various settings that a child living with HIV might need to access for their health, educational, social, or daily needs. These settings include the home environment, the clinic, the community, and the hospital setting. In each setting, the model also identifies the persons who would be responsible for caring for the children. But most importantly, central to this model is the community care worker. All experts agreed that the community care worker is the essential channel that must be available to children in order for them to access these 4 settings and to get the most out of them. Attention is drawn also for disability screening at each point of care, and then subsequent referral to rehabilitation services. Since shifting is widely recognized as a fundamental care approach in resource-constrained settings, this is going to be the next line of the next approach that we would go into, where we will train community care workers in disability screening tools in order to roll out disability screening in the communities. One such tool that we have recognized that might be useful is the Washington Group and UNICEF's Child Functioning Module, as a very feasible tool to use in our settings. Further to that, disability screening for the, caregiver burden screening for the carers of these children was also found to be very essential to the implementation of this model, because we understand that in order to care for children, the care needs of their carers need to be met. Thank you. Just in closing, this is our framework for action going forward to do disability screening, to improve access to rehabilitation, strengthen multidisciplinary and intersectoral partnerships, include screening for caregiver burden, and to strengthen collaborative efforts between educators and health workers for children going forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Stacy. That was informative, and I think it opens the door for me to just maybe project and stop sharing your screen, and then I'll project the model of care for adults that was developed just prior to your study. And if you could just say stop share.
Okay.
Perfect. I'm going to just share that model quickly with you. It seems my screen just has an affinity to this beautiful artwork that my teenage daughter put together, which is quite apt. And I must at this point say that this group of researchers believe strongly in this. And we'll talk more about that later. I'm just finding the share screen again. Can you all see that?
No, not really, Verusia.
Okay, let me just last time, and if it doesn't work, there we go, and we'll move on. Can you see that now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so this is the model of care that was developed prior to Stacy's model. And I think the tenets of the model are very similar to the rehabilitation model for children. And again, you can see that the overarching link is the community care worker. The setting is similar because it's a similar study setting, and the fundamental principles are also similar. But if you look closely, the community healthcare worker is an essential component of the model. What we have decided moving forward as a team, and each of the scientists on this panel are actually part of that team, is that we are now looking at avenues to strengthen task shifting of the community healthcare workers in that setting. And we started with training on disability screening tools, like Stacy has already discussed. And we are also looking at basic training on rehabilitation techniques, etc. And we're also strengthening referral pathways so that the community healthcare workers are the link between people and children living with HIV and the health setting. And I think on that note, I must just quickly reintroduce Professor Cobbing, and he can just tell us a little bit about his home-based intervention before I go on to Mr. Levin Chetty. Dr. Cobbing, can you just tell us a little bit about your study and details?
Sure thing. Thanks, Verusia. Yes. So as I sort of briefly alluded to earlier, we realized we need a different way of providing rehabilitation to people to take some of the burden off them having to come to hospital, and also to address the very shortage of rehabilitation professionals in the area, which, to be honest with you, is the same across the public healthcare system in South Africa. So as a physiotherapist, I trained 4 community care workers who were basically just providing basic nursing duties up until that point for an NGO. And I trained them how to do assessment of functional ability and disability, and helped teach them basic rehabilitation techniques. And then what we did over a period of 12 weeks was go to people's homes who HIV positive and had some form of disability, physical disability, all adults in my study. And we provided weekly rehabilitation in their home, which was what we call needs-based rehabilitation. So it wasn't the same thing for every person. We were providing what rehabilitation they needed depending on their functional limitations. So, you know, in some people, it might have just been improving their exercise tolerance. Others, you know, it was literally trying to get them back on their feet following a stroke. And what we found, over the 12 weeks compared to a control group of people who just basically received the standard of care, which is very little, we found some promise in terms of improvement in functional capacity, but also interestingly, quite an improvement in the quality of life of participants, because that's one of the things we measured. And quite a few interesting things came out of it afterwards. Some of the extra statistical work that Jill did, for example, one of the things we found was the people who did the rehabilitation, the home-based rehabilitation, also had better adherence to taking their ARVs, which is obviously very important, when you think of the 90-90-90 targets. Finally, we looked a year afterwards to see how these people were doing, and it was quite heartening to see that quite a few of the participants, had carried on with their exercises. Some of them had started doing exercise with other people in the local community. Some people had been able to go back to work, which they hadn't been able to do because of their functional limitations. So these were, very positive, but it's on a very small scale. And then finally, what was great was, we also interviewed the community healthcare workers who helped us, who basically helped me do the rehabilitation intervention, and just the growth they reported in terms of their own skills. But all these sort of extra things we hadn't anticipated, what a massive help they were to the participants beyond just physical rehabilitation. So almost acting as counselors, helping them with, mental health challenges, helping them with social challenges, getting their grants, helping them start to grow vegetables in their gardens, things like that, which in a way were unanticipated, but really make sense now. And that's why it's so important in the model you showed, that these community workers who are embedded in the community, they know the language, both literally, because most of the participants spoke isiZULU, but also, metaphorically know who's who in the community, know how to help people, know how to link people. And that's why it's absolutely important we look at task shifting strategies to bring these community healthcare workers to the very center of our response, both for people living with HIV, but more broadly, people living with disability across South Africa.
Thank you very much, Saul. On that note, I think when we concluded with these phases of the study, we realized that there was a gap and that we needed to address a population of people living with HIV who were aging. So this is where Mr. Chetty's PhD comes in, and I'm going to let him discuss the gap that we identified and how we intend on addressing it. Mr. Chetty?
Hey, hi guys, my bandwidth is just a bit low, so I'm just going to switch off video for a while, but I hope that you guys can hear me. Okay, so as I've said before, my research area of expertise revolves around the development of exercise guidelines for aging populations living with HIV in South Africa. So over the past decade or so, our research group has developed a strong relationship with rural and semi-rural communities around our university. As Cobbing has mentioned before, one of these communities is a poor resource community with actually a single hospital providing care to around 7,500 people living with HIV. And more telling is that the large proportion of this population are individuals who are over the age of 50 and subsequently aging with HIV. To date, our research group has addressed gaps in pediatric and adult HIV care, developing models of care, as well as intervention strategies and home-based rehabilitation programs in the same setting. So on the premise of leaving no one behind, we have begun addressing gaps in care for those who are now aging with HIV. We have additionally conducted studies in aging populations with chronic diseases, and we have also developed exercise guidelines for other communities within our geographical space. My own PhD journey is ever evolving and is constantly taking shape. Currently, I'm at a stage where I'm gathering information from existing physical activity protocols in consultation with community members and experts in the field of HIV and physical activity. The end product of this process will actually be the development of a 12-week exercise intervention protocol for older people living with HIV. and eventually rolled out at all our HIV community centers. This intervention will also link to the model of care that is currently being rolled out at these centers. Dr. Lawler and Professor Cobbing has already alluded to that. Okay. Exercise protocol itself will include components of aerobic, anaerobic, strength, flexibility, and agility exercises. It will also include parameters of frequency, intensity, type, and time of exercise. This is very important in order to determine the dosage of exercise that is necessary to elicit physical and mental health improvements in this population. And I'm actually glad that Professor Cobbing has alluded to the mental health improvements that we're seeing in these patients. Finally, it will also explore the effects of structured versus unstructured exercise usage, as well as the benefits of group versus individual exercise prescription. So my passion in this area of research stems to the fact that technological advancements in health, many people living with HIV are expected to live longer in the era of HIV. But at the same time, they're at risk for developing various chronic conditions and also disabilities as a consequence of viral replication, some exposure to ARV medication, and also the natural effects of aging on the immune system. There is overwhelming evidence which now supports the notion that HIV to a certain degree is a manageable condition. So why can't we use exercise and physical activity as an effective management strategy for people growing older with HIV and the accompanying difficulties that could present as they get older? My ultimate vision and goal is to somehow, in a small little way through my research, advocate for the improved understanding and provision of rehabilitation services for older people living with HIV and disability. And I think we have to group that together. We have to group HIV, growing old, and disability together and talk about them in one coherent venture. Thank you, Verusia.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chetty. That was really interesting to hear the proposal you have for people growing older with HIV. I think it's actually a pleasure for me to introduce the heartbeat behind our research team, Professor Hanass-Hancock, and she's been in the field of HIV, disability, and rehabilitation research for a decade. And she is actually the reason we are all together and we have stood together, continued on this research path into HIV and rehabilitation. And I think she's got lots to share with us. Hopefully you have time so you can listen to her insight. And she's also going to share about some of our future plans regarding the team and maybe how you can get involved. Professor Jill Hanass-Hancock.
Okay, thank you very much. This was really, really enlightening and impressive to see the UKZN staff here, which have asked me to share my experience or my journey with HIV and disability. And I will do that now, and you will see that all of these people here are popping up as we go towards the end of the journey more and more. My personal journey with the topic started in 2003 and 2004. Then, same as my collaborators here, I've actually been an implementer, so I've not been a scientist as yet. I was on my way to become one because of the topic. So everything started in around 2004. There were two big events. One was the global survey on HIV and disability was released from the Yale University and World Bank. It was the first kind of testimony on people with disabilities and their vulnerability to HIV. And there was a symposium at the same time in Germany. As you can imagine, I've been one of the culprits that was looking at the topic of HIV and disability, because the DPOs, the disabled people organizations, the NGOs, in that sector and developing agencies said there's a problem, there's a population overlooked. You can see at that time, rehabilitation and disability wasn't there at all. It started with the people with disabilities. Then during 2005 and 2007, I wanted my own PhD. My topic was on people with disabilities and their vulnerability to HIV in South Africa. And that journey has moved me quite a lot. I almost did not publish my PhD because, and I think that fits quite well in the Black Lives Matter background from Verusia. I am still a white foreigner in South Africa writing about predominantly Black people, because most people in this country are Black. And it was quite a lot of courage for me to publish on it, because there's a lot of things that you question yourself about. Should you publish on it, particularly when it is negative things? And I've been very, very moved by particular cases of women with disabilities who have been abused, and particularly sexually, and the results that that brought into their lives, and sometimes death. And that was part of the PhD that I wrote. Not surprisingly, through that I got involved into the next big thing that happened in Africa. And that was the Africa campaign on disability and HIV. Again, it was an NGO and DPO-driven initiative, and ended with the Kampala Declaration, which demanded that people with disabilities must be included in the response to HIV. You can hear back then that was not the case. It was silent, the issue that there are also people with disabilities. Around that time, I joined the first research organization that I'm actually part of. ever since, I'm part of the research world. So clearly my PhD changed my course of action. And I do remember one discussion when I first started there working on sexual reproductive health and rights. And I slowly dropped isn't there something around disability too? And the response from one of the senior scientists was, why do you bother with that? It's 1% of 1%, it is unimportant. And that's where I worked from 2008. I worked from unimportant, from invisible, from not giving any money to anybody. Why bother, right? So, but there were other people like me. There was the Africa campaign, which led into, and that's what you're a part of today, in 2010, the first disability networking zone in Vienna. And that was a great initiative, and still is, because it is a combination of people who are predominantly in advocacy and service delivery, such as Handicap International, now Inclusion and Humanity and Inclusion, CBM, for instance, Christopher Blindbush and Sight Savers, organizations that are in that kind of space, and scientists. So science meets advocacy is what the DNZ is about. And we have the DNZ now since 10 years, right? I think this is a 10-year celebration. So Vienna was the first time. And because of Vienna, and because of disability science, I would actually say emerging disability science, meeting advocacy and implementation, we're seeing more and more work around disability, particular also coming from Africa, and in particular from UKZN, I guess. But there are other universities that have done plenty of good work on it. But for me, outstanding are things like after around the DNZ, there came movies out like Stepping into the Unknown, where for the first time 4 people with disabilities spoke about that they living with HIV. So the first testimony on camera that actually these people exist. Remember, 1% of 1%. There's no one important enough. That was the assumption before that. There are many other advocacy movies coming after that movie, showing that there are people with disabilities who live with HIV. We have reviews of the national strategic plans in Africa, showing that they are lacking even data or any consideration of disabled people back then. By the way, rehabilitation wasn't even mentioned, that we also found out. So there was a lack of inclusion awareness data. That's 2010. So and 2011. So all around that time following afterwards, I would say particularly the years between 2012 and 2018, we see a body of work on disability and HIV emerging in Africa. They are still considered probably by the largest scientific community as pilot small-scale studies, but they are studies that providing evidence. And one body of evidence is around people with disabilities and how they're affected by HIV. So we see the first prevalence studies emerging, showing that people with disabilities are disproportionately affected by HIV. The HIV prevalence is higher in that population than in the general population. Yeah? We're seeing also more over time better scientific approaches to that. We're seeing studies on vulnerability. What are the factors? We're finding poverty is one factor, lack of education, access to information, access to services, negative attitudes. We're seeing studies that are triggering more. What is it really? Because some of these issues are like an issue for a general population in Africa. And one study by the Biokineticists is really, really noteworthy because it shows us that it is sexual violence and transactional sex that particularly puts women with disabilities at increased risk of HIV. So can you see how from this broad understanding of there is some association, we're finding actually who are the people and why are they so particular vulnerable? Why are they more vulnerable than women without disabilities? What's the difference? Both maybe have experienced poverty, but the experience of sexual violence and transactional sex is higher, which they're directly related to higher HIV prevalence. On the other side of the coin, we're discovering, not all people with disabilities that we're meeting out there are actually disabled and then they're getting HIV. We're actually seeing a lot of people that are having HIV and it looks as if they later developing disability in the early stages before the availability of ARVs that was obviously also related to HIV. But even with the access to HIV, and this is the study that Cobbing already alluded to, that is done in the same community as these brilliant 4 scientists here. That study, we conducted a study in that same community and we looked at like, what is the prevalence of disability among people living with HIV who are on treatment, successfully on treatment. And yes, we did the study here in Durban and we did it also in Johannesburg. And we found, yes, between 30 and 50% of people experiencing HIV-related disability, even if they are on treatment. And it's over long periods of time. And it isn't always like visible that someone is in a wheelchair, it is subtle. People don't walk as fast and cannot walk as far, but it does actually impact their lives so far that they cannot work. So it is significant, even though it might be invisible for the healthcare workers. We also see another body of work emerging, and that is around, okay, what and do what? Solutions. And this is where the models of care come in that you are seeing here. So there is a body of work already emerging now on how can rehabilitation service be feasibly delivered in our African context with the limited resources. And that is where the home-based care rehabilitation approaches from Cobbing come in, the model for adults from Verusia Chetty, and the model for children that we have just seen. And now I'm hearing a model in the making for older people. Absolutely amazing. We also have for people with disabilities, it's not on this panel, but I'm just mentioning it. We also have emerging projects there, such as the Breaking the Silence approach to make comprehensive sexuality education accessible, or peer education for adults with disability to make information about HIV and other sexual reproductive health issues accessible to them, so the deaf can understand with easy visual tools. Blind people can either hear, or if they can read Braille, they can access information that way. People with intellectual disability have simplified formats to them, and people with physical disability are also like healthcare workers overcome attitudes. Yes, they can also become pregnant. Yes, they can also have HIV. And now, since in the last couple of years, and that is almost where I'm ending, I'm seeing an interesting change, and we will have to see how we're moving forward from that. And that change is that internationally, like the bigger United Nations, for instance, and other bilateral organizations, they recognize that it is important to integrate disability. So in 2016, we, for instance, see the UN Declaration of HIV and AIDS, the political declaration. For the first time, it includes disability. It specifically mentions people with disability alongside other key and vulnerable population. It was a huge step from 2004, where we didn't even know if there was any vulnerability. And we see in UNFPA in Southern and Eastern Africa launching a regional initiative on sexual reproductive health and rights and young people with disabilities, developing a strategy how that organization wants to implement disability mainstreaming across all their programs and specific programs for young people with disabilities. We've seen the data research around gender-based violence, including disability indicators, finding that, women with disabilities are one of the people that are the most at risk of violence, and actually, in fact, 2 times more likely to experience violence than women without disabilities across the world, but also in South Africa. We've seen projects funded like Botswana, where we can specifically work with DPOs and NGOs in the disability sector and in the GBV sector to strengthen inclusion of persons with disability, but also accessibility of services. We see a push towards improve of science, because we have noticed that, we have some ideas, we have some good pilot studies, we have done a lot of work with very, very, very little, sometimes no money in the disability sector. Even though we are in the space of HIV, disability has got almost nothing, particularly not led by African researchers or researchers based in Africa. So there is a recognition we need more and better science, and we need science driven from people here in Africa, where HIV is prevalent, where a lot of people with disabilities live, that need services, not only in the context of HIV, but also in other contexts. But rehabilitation services are one of the most important ones. So we see a push for science, and in that space, the idea of ADIRA has been born. So ADIRA is, is an initiative or a network that's called Advancing Disability Inclusive Research in Africa. And that is the one that's what Verusia was alluding to. That is the thing that you can be part of, apart from obviously the next DNZ, I guess, in 2 years' time. Yes, and that's hopefully an initiative that will really drive good science, so we can inform our policymakers, the people that write our national strategic plan in HIV and in other spaces, that they know how to include persons with disabilities, how to make services accessible, and how to integrate rehabilitation. And these models that you have seen will be extremely important to inform that work. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jill. And I'm sure our attendees know why the heartbeat of this movement. Thank you for virtually attending our session. We appreciate your time. We hope you enjoyed our journey and the insight we shared on our different research tracks. If you want to find out more about our research, you are welcome to contact us. Our details will be on the University of KwaZulu-Natal website, and you can find our email and contact details on there. And you can find Professor Jill Hanass-Hancock's details on the South African Medical Research Council website. And maybe you just connected with one of the studies, or you want to know more about ADIRA or our personal research, whatever it may be, you're welcome to contact us, and I'm sure the team agrees. And we'll give you a short break before we get into our gymming session. Have a lovely afternoon. Welcome to the final session of our Disability Networking Zone for the 10th of July, 2020. We are now going to get into an interactive exercise session with 2 expert biokineticists, Professor Rowena Naidoo and Mr. Levin Chetty, who you've already met during the panel discussion. Exercise is an excellent strategy to address some of the disabling issues that are facing people living with HIV. So sit back, actually don't sit back, get up and get ready for your exercise session with our 2 biokineticists.
Okay, hi everyone. So before we start any exercise, we have to start with a warm-up. So we're going to get you all warm. But as Professor Chetty said, we are actually going to do a seated warm-up. and then we'll move into standing up. So let's get going. Usually with your warm up, you start with your head right on the top. So let's go up, down, up, down, up, down. 5, 6, 7, and 8. Then to the left. 1, right, 2. Stretch that neck out. Stretch as much as you can. Left, right, left, right, left, right. Up, down, right, left, up, left, right, up, left, up, down, down, up, and to the right, to the left. Good. Let's go shoulders. Let's get those shoulders going backwards. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and forward. 1, 2, 3, 4. Make sure you're breathing properly. Keep going. Breathe in and out. That's it. Good. Let's get the arms up. And backwards circles. Smaller circles. We'll start with the small ones first. That's it. Let's go. 5, 6, 7, 8, and forward. 1, 2, 3. Keep going. That's it. Feel the burn. Keep going. Make sure you're breathing properly. Don't hold your breath. Keep your hands out and let's go. Bicep curl. Touch your shoulders. Out, in. Good. Keep going. That's it. Carry on. Breathe. And 5, 6, 7, 8. And up. Reach for the stars. Up and back to your shoulders. Up to the stars. Up and down. And up and down. Let's go. Up, down, up, down. Let's go forward to the front. Push. Push forward. That's it. Forward to the side. Let's mix it up now. So forward, side, forward, side. Good. Forward, side, forward, side. Circle, 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 circle. Make the circle bigger, bigger, bigger. Forward circles and backwards. Good. Are you feeling those arms warming up? Feeling a bit of a burn in there? That's a good warm-up feeling. Good. That's it. Make sure you're breathing. Okay. From there, stretch up, stretch over to the left. Stretch, stretch, stretch all the side of your body here. That's it. Good. And the other side, stretch over. Good. Stretch, 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 stretch. And again, over, stretch forward. That's it. To the side. Last one. To the right. Stretch. Good. Now get your fingers together. Interlock them. Forward. Stretch forward. Round your back. Round your shoulders. Stretch out your shoulders there. Good. Stretch them out. Stretch it. Good. Good. That's it. Okay. Nice. Then from here, out again to the side. Up. Stretch. Stretch, 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 stretch. Good. Okay. Back down. Arms across like you're hugging your body. Give yourself a big hug and move to the left, to the right. Left, right, left, right. That's it. 5, 6, 7, 8. Good. Let's get, now we're going to mix everything up to end it up so you'll be nice and warm. Are you feeling yourself sweating a little bit? That's good. If you need a drink of water, have a sip of water because your warm-up needs to get you ready for the next stage with Mr. Levin. Okay. So let's go from the beginning. Let's first go. Left, look to the left. Look to the right. Up, down, right, left, down, up, up again, and hands to the sky. To the sky. Lift up. Hands to the sky. Hands down. Hands to the sky. Hands to the side. Bicep curl. Curl them in. Let's go. Curl them in. Curl them in. That's it. Good. Up again. Good. Hug yourself. Give yourself a hug. Stretch over. Stretch. And the other side. Stretch. Stretch. Look to the right. Look to the left. Up. Down. Good. Out to the side. Hand circles. Forward. 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 Backward. 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 Bicep curls. Bicep curls. Bicep curls. Stretch up. Down. Hug yourself. Last one. Hug. Good. Are you warmed up? I hope you all are ready for Levin. Let's go.
Hi guys and welcome to today's exercise session.
Okay, first of all, as we get older, some of the physical health challenges we face is a decline in strength, flexibility, balance, and proprioception. So today, I'm going to show you guys 8 exercises that's going to help you to improve your strength, your flexibility, your balance, and your proprioception. Okay, but here's the kicker. We're going to perform each exercise for 20 seconds with a 10-second break in between each exercise. And we're going to do 3 sets of 8 exercises with a minute break between each set. Okay, so follow along, guys. Stay on your toes. It's a fairly simple exercise you're going to be doing. All you need is a chair, a nice area of space around you, a wall, get yourself a water bottle, and a timer. Okay, remember these exercises you can do anywhere at any time. You can do them in the comfort of your home. You can do them at your office. You can do them with your family and your friends. So let's get into it. Okay? I'm just going to set up my timer. And we're going to start. Remember, I need you guys to do as many reps as you can in 20 seconds of each exercise. So let's get ready. The first exercise we're going to be doing is marching in place. Okay, so go with me, guys. In 3, 2, 1, let's go. Let's start marching. Nice big marches. Raise those legs, roll those knees. Come on, let's go. And we're going to keep going for 20 seconds. Keep going, guys. You guys should be nice and warmed up now. And let's go. 3, 2, 1, and relax for 10 seconds. The next exercise we're going to do after 10 seconds is a chair squat. You should be getting some blood flowing now. And let's go. Squat and up. Squat and up. And we're going to keep going for 20 seconds, as many as you can. Remember, I can probably do 10, you can probably do 12, 4 or 6. It doesn't matter. Just keep moving. 2, 1, that's it. Wait for 10 seconds. And now we're going to move to a side lateral raise, just using the chair. This is our next 20 seconds. And let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, don't lean on the chair, just use it as support. Let's go. Nice straight body. We emphasize form. We want everything to be done correctly. 3, 2, 1, and rest for 10 seconds. The next exercise we're going to be doing, again, you're going to be using the chair as support, is a calf raise. And let's go. Up onto your calves. That's it. Onto the balls of your feet. Raise those calves, get those heels off the floor. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Good, guys. You guys are doing well. Just keep at it. 3, 2, 1, and relax for 10 seconds. Okay, the next exercise we're going to do is going to focus on the upper body. Simple exercise, just lean against the wall, hands shoulder width apart, and press into the wall, press away. This is a lovely exercise to actually build strength in the upper body. That's it. Keep going. That's it. We're almost done. Let's keep going. 2, 1. That's it. 10 seconds. The next exercise we're going to do is actually a shoulder press with a twist. So let's get ready. We rest for 10 seconds. And let's go. Hands in front of you and punch out. Keep going, guys. Twist at the top. This is the shoulder press. You can do them together, or you can do them single arm. Remember, we're actually building your cardiorespiratory base as well by doing as many as you can in 20 seconds. Cool. 10-second break. The next exercise we're going to be doing is an alternate bird dog exercise. This focuses on the core. Sit down into all fours. Right leg out. Left hand out. And you're going to hold that for 20 seconds. Concentrate. You'll feel as if your body's a bit wobbly. That means you haven't got enough core strength. Let's just focus, guys, and hold that position. And rest for 10 seconds, and then we're going to do the opposite side, which means we're going to get our left leg up and our right hand up. There we go. And you will get better at this. This is a lovely exercise to maintain core stability. It's actually building proprioception and balance as well. Keep holding. 3, 2, 1, and relax. Okay guys, that's our 8 exercises. So we're going to take a break for 1 minute and we're going to go through that whole set again. So you can get some water, make sure you're nice and loose. And you should be gulping for some big breaths now. Remember, the idea is to do as many repetitions as you can in 20 seconds. That might be different for each individual, but the idea is to do as many as you can. Make sure you're breathing. This is still your rest period. In through your nose, out through your mouth. We have another 10 seconds of rest before we start the whole 8 exercises again. Okay, now you know what's coming. You should be a little bit better at this. Okay, let's march on the spot. Let's go. Come on, let's go on a little bit faster now. Hands up, legs up. Let's go. 20 seconds, as many as you can. Good. Let's go. Come on. That's it. Keep going. We're almost done. And a 10-second break. Okay, the next exercise is the chest squat. Let's get ready. Squat and up. Activate the quadricep muscles, your hamstring muscles. Make sure your back is nice and straight. Hands in front of you. It helps with the balance as well. Keep going. That's it. Keep going. Good. Let's take a 10-second break. The next exercise is a side raise or your lateral raise. Again, using the chair just for support. And let's go. Good. You guys are doing well. Let's go. Keep at it. Don't get yourself down now. Keep going. That's it. Start to feel the burn. Excellent. The next exercise is a calf raise. Let's get ready. Legs shoulder width apart. Onto the balls of the feet. Let's go. That's it. As many as you can. Make sure you're breathing. Keep going, guys. You guys are doing well. And relax. Okay, the next exercise is a wall push-up. Let's get ready. Again, hands shoulder width apart. Lean into the wall and push away. Let's keep going. Only for 20 seconds. Let's keep going. We're almost halfway there. Good. Let's take a 10-second break and get ready for our next exercise. The next exercise is a shoulder press with a twist. Hands in front of you. Core nice and tight and push. As many as you can. Let's get those shoulders going. Come on. That's it. That's it. Keep going. We're almost done. Good. Last 2. Alternate bird dog exercise. Let's get ready. Go on 4s. Core nice and tight. Let's go right leg, left hand. And hold. Hold for 20 seconds. Let's keep holding. Let's keep holding, guys. Good. 3, 2, 1, and relax. Okay, alternate side. Left leg, right hand. And let's go. Good. Should be getting better at this now. Good stuff. Let's keep holding. Just 20 seconds. Remember, we're also working on cardiorespiratory fitness by incorporating exercises within 20 seconds. Good. And let's rest for a minute, and we've got 1 more set to go. You can grab yourself some water. Make sure you're breathing. Lovely total body workout, guys. Excellent. Just one more set. We're going to start to push now, okay? That's it. 20 seconds. Let's get ready. Let's get your mind focused. We know the 8 exercises we're going to do. We're going to do them for 20 seconds with a 10-second break in between. This is our last set. Let's give it all we got. Let's get ready. 3, 2, 1, and let's march on the spot. Come on. High knees, that's it. High hands. Make sure your back is nice and straight. On the spot, keep going. That's it. 20 seconds. Doing well, guys. Almost done. Good. Let's get ready for chair squats. Good, proper squats. Make sure your back is nice and straight. Leg shoulder width apart. Squat and up. Squat and up. Come on, let's see how many you can do in 20 seconds. Let's go. That's it. Let's keep going. Good. Let's put up a few more. That's it. One more. Good. Let's get ready for natural raises of the leg. Again, using the chair as our support. Good. Let's go. Right, left. Right, left. Keep going. Get a nice rhythm going. The higher you go, the better for you. Keep going. Let's open up those hips. Good. Excellent. 10-second break. Next exercise is a wall push-up. Let's go. Let's lean into the wall and push away. Come on, let's go. That's it. Keep going. We're going to build up some upper body strength. Very important. Let's go. Almost done. Good stuff. Let's rest for 10 seconds. Okay, next exercise is a shoulder press with a twist. Let's get ready. Hands in front of you. Take your first, and let's go. As many as you can go. Or you can go together. Keep going. That's it. Should feel your heart rate come up now. Let's go. Don't stop. Keep going. As many as you can. Good. Okay, last two alternate jog exercises. Go. Right leg, left hand, and hold for 20 seconds. Pull that core in, but make sure you're breathing. In through your nose, out through your mouth. Nice deep breaths. One. Final one, guys. Let's feel our wall. We've trained well. Let's stop using now. 2, 1. Left leg, right hand, and let's hold. Feel that burn. Keep holding. Keep holding. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Cool. Great stuff, guys. That's our workout done. So you can see how short that is. Remember, the focus is as we get older, not how much we can do, but how much we can do within a limited space of time. Remember, exercise is medicine, and a healthy body is a healthy mind. So be active, stay healthy, and over to you, Professor Naidoo, for cool down. Bye, guys.
Hey, thanks, Levin. Sure, I'm sure you all had a good workout there, and your heart rate is all increased. So now we need to bring you back to a nice, relaxed level. If you need a sip of water, have your water. And if you need to have a seat, because that's what I'm doing now. So it's time to cool down. All right, so let's start with some gentle stretches. You can grab hold of your head and pull it slightly to the right-hand side and stretch. As you're stretching, make sure you're breathing through your nose and out through your mouth. That's it, good. And change. Other side, that's it, stretch over. You can think relaxing thoughts, relax your mind. I know your heart rate must be racing after all that exercise. That's it, good. And let's go forward, so stretch forward. Stretch forward, that's it, hold it there. If you want to close your eyes and relax your mind, you can do that as well. Good, but keep breathing, don't hold your breath. Keep breathing, good. And back, so stretch up, stretch, 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 that's it. All the way back. Okay, good. Now the next one, we want to smell those armpits. So stretch towards your armpits. And hold, stretch, smell those armpits. Good. And last to the other side, towards the opposite armpit, stretch it out. Good. Okay, nice. Now shoulders, grab onto your elbow and push it across. That's it. Good, stretch. Again, as you're stretching, don't hold your breath. Keep stretching, good. And change sides, stretch across. Good, nice. One more time, interlink your fingers, stretch forward, stretch across, that's it, good. You can round your shoulders, stretch your back out nicely. If you want to lean forward, lean as far forward as you can. That's it. You can even go down and touch your toes while you're seated. You can go all the way down and touch your toes. That's it. Hold it there. Touch your toes. You can put your fingers flat on the floor if you want to as well. Stretch your back out because you've been working your core. You need to stretch your back out especially. That's it. Good. And all the way back up again. Let's stretch. Hands up, stretch. Stretch all the muscles on the side. You've been working all these muscles. Let's stretch them up. Hold it there. Good. Okay, as now we also need to work a bit on your legs. So let's start stretching those hamstrings up. So grab your leg and pull it towards your chest. So pull it up towards you. Good. Pull it up. Nice. As you hold it, make sure you're breathing properly as well. Good. Put it back down. Other side. Stretch, stretch, stretch. That's it. Good. Okay. Another stretch we want to do is, I'm just going to adjust this. When you're seated, cross your legs, cross it up. That's it, good. You should be able to have it nice and low down, slightly push down on your knee. Sometimes if you're really tight, it won't go down. So it's actually a very good stretch to try this out. Push down slightly, good. I can see Levin is looking a bit tight there after all the exercise. Needs to do a bit and change, other side. That's it, good. Stretch down, very nice. Hold it there, keep holding. This stretch you can do anywhere. Sitting at your desk, sitting at home, watching TV, it's a very good stretch. Okay, and to end off, we must do some breathing. So breathing is very important. So again, take a deep, you can use your hands, a deep breathe in, hold your breath, and breathe out. Hands back down, breathe out through your mouth. So let's go in through your nose, in, deep breath in, 3, 4, 5, and out. Breathe out through your mouth, good. We'll do it 2 more times, and in, up, 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 good. Hold it there, stretch, and out. Through your mouth, down again. And last one, up, deep breath in. And out. Great, so I hope you all have cooled down a bit. If you need to continue stretching a bit more, please do that and try some more breathing and relaxation exercises. Great, thank you.
Thank you very much, Thank you very much, Professor Naidoo and Mr. Chetty. We hope you enjoyed the exercise session with us. If you need more advice or you want to know more about the team, you will find all our details on the University of KwaZulu-Natal website, and you can look through the sports science discipline, or it's now called Biokinetics, Exercise and Leisure Sciences, and you'll find the details for Professor Naidoo, and you will look under Physiotherapy, and you will find Mr. Levin Chetty. Thank you very much, guys, and we hope you enjoyed the exercise session with us.